Hi there, my name is Kimberly Inez Mays, and I have a question to ask you. Have you ever felt the pressure to be first or fastest? And if so, you're definitely not alone. And the reason why I wanted to make this content, and I was almost going to title it, I don't want to talk about automation right now, is because I also like to talk about things that affect us as business people and as human beings as leaders. And I'm going to talk about why being first or being fastest is not always the ideal situation for every situation. It's not the ideal strategy for every situation. And before I get into it, one thing is if you find this content valuable, please like and share because sharing is caring. And also, if you don't know me, let me reintroduce myself. My name is Kimberly Inez Mays. I demystify technology for small service-based businesses so that they can finally stop duct taping their systems together and start scaling with confidence. All right, now let's get into it. Why I wanted to talk about this is because I think right now we see a lot of companies, the big players, of course, rushing to be first, fastest, and we are now seeing explosion, an explosion of new product launches in the AI space, in the system space. It just makes my head spin. And I think that it's a good thing. But I think at the consumer side, on the consumer side, especially as small business owners, we tend to think that, okay, if we're not adapting, we are missing out. And I did a piece of content before on fear of missing out and why you shouldn't hastily rush to implement a bad strategy, right? If it's not a good fit for where you're trying to be. And I wanted to expand on that in this piece of content because, they say success loves speed, and that is very, very true. But I also think that looks different for different people. And I think a lot of the business advice or a lot of the standard, I guess, knowledge or strategies don't take into account different types of personalities. Some of us are quieter, some of us are louder, some of us more gregarious, some of us are more risk prone or risk tolerant, and some of us are more risk adverse. So how do you give one blanket statement that's supposed to cover every single person? And why I wanted to talk about this is because I'm coming out with some new things. And I was just talking to someone the other day, and, they were concerned about, okay, we need to implement this because, somebody else might implement it. And I was thinking, if I Google the thing I'm trying to build, I probably will see it. And that's okay. That means that there's a market for it. And so I'm not putting that pressure on myself to implement something that is not going to be effective and is not going to be of quality to my standards because I'm in an invisible race with somebody else who doesn't even know I exist, right? And that's what I want to talk about is you don't have to be first and you don't have to be fast or faster than everyone else. You are allowed to go at a pace that works for you. And I see this too with large companies, and I was just thinking out loud. I was thinking the browser race, the agentic browser race, where we have Comet, we have Edge that has AI features, we have Chrome, and now OpenAI has released Atlas. And I haven't really done a deep dive into Atlas just yet, still waiting for it to become available on Windows, and I'm also just giving it a little bit of simmer space. And I know with new product releases, I've also felt the need to be first, right? If something came out, I've always felt the internal pressure to say, okay, well, I have to create a piece of content on that right now because people are waiting on me to create that content. And then also if I create content on it, it's going to get my channel numbers up. And then, if I put the hashtag and it's my best performing content. But I said, wait a minute, if I haven't had enough time to really sit with something, to give it a fair assessment, to really think about it, then what is it that I'm really doing, right? That's why I haven't talked about Sora 2, because I've been playing around with it for at least a week and a half now, because I'm going to make content about that. And I'm going to make content about things that I actually use. I find that being first and putting out something that is not up to my standards is not really going to work for me. Now, for other people, that might be fine. You might think, okay, well, I'm going to review it with the knowledge that maybe people will know that, hey, it just came out. I haven't had time to deep dive into it yet. I choose to do it differently. So that's just what I really believe in. I believe the next tool, the next shortcut, and the next trend is not rushing to automate everything. And I almost titled this, I don't want to talk about automation right now because I think automation is a great thing, but I think people really need to understand what automation can and cannot do. For example, I once worked with a person, and this was a couple of years ago, so I could finally talk about it, where, I thought we had an understanding of what was going to be built. We were doing some automated things, lead magnets, the funnels, and the CRM setups and everything else. Turns out this individual did not have a good strategy. This individual was trying too many different things, get pulled into too many different directions. They signed up with this person and that person, this agency and that agency. And all they cared about was, hey, well, our setup get me leads. And I said, well, it can help nurture the leads that you've already gotten for yourself. We can talk about some lead generation strategies, but your offer still needs to be good. You still have to have a good grasp on who you're trying to target and, what their pain points are and what their needs are and where you can find them and put your offer in front of them. I'm just helping with the back end mechanisms to help once you have that lead. And I don't think that person really understood that because there were too many other people in their ear saying, hey, we can 30x this, or we can 10x this, or build this offer in a day, or whatever have you. So they ended up going with this company that was very interesting. They built a page for this business, and when you sign up, let me kind of backtrack because I'm trying not to give any names in this story. But the way it worked is they built a page for the person I was working with, had their face on it, had their logos and all of the language, right? And I'm keeping the pronouns gender neutral, so that can also shield who I'm talking about. So the person's landing page looked pretty good. So, using one of my burner email addresses, I went and I signed up for it. And then the very next page was someone else's program. So basically, they used that person that I was working with as a front end to then sell someone else's funnel. So when I clicked the submit button, I got a video with another person talking about some stuff. And then every other video was that first person selling that second person's program, if that makes sense. And I'm really trying to be vague here. And that may have seemed like a really good idea to work in that fashion at the time for the person I was working with, because, they were kind of not desperate for leads, but they were hungry, and understandably so. But because they invested in me and they invested in this other person, and, I wanted to take some time to do a deep dive on what they wanted to eventually accomplish, even though we were working slower. It was that snappy squirrel distraction that eventually got them, and that relationship ultimately did not work out. But I say a lot to say is that, there will be a lot of things that look like a really good idea at the time, but you don't need to jump on all of the things, right? You're allowed to take your time. You're allowed to let it simmer and say, hey, is this a good idea? Is this going to work? Is this something that I can see myself doing in the long term? What is the emotional factor driving this decision, right? Is it coming from a place of scarcity? Do I think that, hey, if I don't do it, then somebody else will, and there'll be no clients for me, no business for me whatsoever? Or is it, hey, I think this person can really help. Let me see what they're about. Okay, I feel good in this decision. And sometimes making a decision means saying no to other things. So if you make a decision, then you might need to say no to other things. And so you really need to tap in and understand where your decisions are taking you and being fine with that. And yes, you will make bad decisions. You'll make decisions that you regret. That is just a part of life. But I think it's really not being first or fast. It's about being strategic. It's about being true to yourself. And I know that that sounds cliche and people will say, no, you got to fail fast. But that doesn't work for everybody. And I think that one of the things that I like to talk about, other than technology, is to counterbalance a lot of that energy, because I bring a different type of energy that's not better or more correct, but it's different and it's going to talk to people differently. And I'm going to resonate with some people more than others. And that's fine too. You know, you got to pick your person, and I'm definitely not for everybody. So when I say sometimes I don't want to talk about automation, I might talk about things on the macro level. I might talk about things in a societal level. I might be a Debbie Downer at times. I might say, hey, you know, this tool just hit the market. Everybody's raving about it, but I have some ethical reservations about it, and here's why. I know that I have some contrarian opinions about automation, not automation, but some AI stuff. I know that there's a lot of people who love like some AI products that I'm just like, not for me. But, you know, that's okay, because I'm going to present it in the way that I know how. And I'm also actually going to only talk about products that I find useful, that I'm actually using, and there's no pitch or anything behind it, right? And you can really trust me when I say that I am completely platform agnostic. I've used all sorts of CRMs. I've used all sorts of email marketing tools. I'm the person that can go behind the scene and set up your records for you. I'm the type of person that understands bounces versus like unsubscribes and how to track metrics and KPIs and all of that. I'm also the person that can do basic programming. And I'm also the person that can do big picture strategic marketing plans and also work with your team to teach them. So I don't fit neatly in an automation box. I think what I'm going to be bringing to the table in 2026 is not about being first. It's about really bringing something that I've been working on for many, many years to come. And so a lot of things that I've been working on. Number one, I have my Automated Thought Leader Academy. So if you like content like this, if you'd like to go at your own pace, that's a program that I put together so that you can do exactly that. So it is a series of quick wins and quick modules, all the way from building landing pages, email marketing systems, setting up your AI systems, getting to know large language models. Everything is short, snappy, and quick, because I understand that people have short attention spans. And we have limited amounts of time, right? So I don't just create products to create products. That's one thing that I have. And I also have consulting packages as well. So if you need any sort of assistance with setting up a CRM or setting up some new tool, maybe you're using a project management tool, maybe your staff is using something that is basic and you want to upgrade, or maybe you want to reevaluate your tech stack, I have solutions for you as well. And yeah, I just love to speak and teach. So my next thing is going to be on vibe coding. It's all the rage. So can you really create apps without code? Can you really create real good apps with just talking to it? I'm just going to leave that as a teaser. That's going to be forthcoming. But yeah, that's really it. That's all I got to say about that. This one was actually an improv, because I like to plan everything out early. But then I was sitting here, I said, you know what? I really don't feel like talking about automation right now. So that might be the title of this video. So I'll leave you with that. And if you are interested in working with me, I have two ways to do that. First, I have a free automation, an AI scorecard. So definitely take that. It's only 5 questions. You get your assessment. It's amazing. It's awesome. Do that. And then I have the free automation insight session. So it's a 30-minute call with me. We talk about what's working, what's not working, and how I can best support you, whether that is setting up a CRM or just doing some basic consultation for you to work with your team, work with your VA, or to get some great tools, or to find out more information about the Automated Thought Leader Academy. All right, so that's all I gotta say about that. I rambled on way too long, but if you found this helpful, please like and share and leave a comment, because I read all comments. All right, so I'll see you later, and I'll talk to you later. Bye.